Listen.
Supremacy?
Yeah, do you even know what that is?
Do you even know how to spell?
Yeah, supremacy. S-U-P-R-E-N-C-S-Y. Supremacy. Do you know how to spell? Or are you just a bucula obtruculate? Because I'm not the one. I know a lot more than probably what you do. I'm probably older than you. I'm very sophisticated and I'm highly talented.
Spell it one more time for me.
Absolutely, and they do it even at the what we call the lowest level. They'll tell you that you are now a high school graduate. You say, well, how am I a high school graduate? Because I said so, and here's a piece of paper that I made out 15 minutes ago, and I put your name on it, and I'm giving it to you. Because I'm the one who determines what people know and what they don't know. I'm the God here. So I'm saying that you know these things. And so you take the piece of paper and you look at it and you say, now, okay, that's nice. It sure is pretty. You know, it looks good. Got my name on it too. Say, okay, I gave you the piece of paper saying that you now have a degree of knowledge that I have given you. And I put your name on it that I have given you. And you say, okay, now what can I do with this? I'll talk to you about that later. Well, what do I do in the meantime? Just try to stay out of trouble. Then I'm going to see to it that you get in. But you go over there to this building or that building and get in line, and we might have something for you. Depends on how I feel by the time you get there. By the time you get over there in my brother's place. Because you can't do nothing with that piece of paper except what we say that you will do with it. And you ought to know that by now, since we orchestrate everything that you do. So when black people start talking about, well, I mean, where did Neely Fuller get his degree in fighting racism? You tell them that he doesn't have one, and nobody else has either. That's in the black people that, hey, we let that fella get that seat to show that, you know, we're pretty nice people, basically. But that little demonstration was just that, a demonstration. We don't intend for that to take root. You know, we don't intend for you people to get any ideas that racism is not the basis for what we believe in. Because it is. It's the only thing that we believe in, because it's the only workable, most successful government, the government of racism, that has lasted so long and run in an efficient manner. Now, we will, you know, tip our hats to you people every now and then and let you find a little opening here where you can demonstrate to us that we have done a pretty good job of raising you. But don't get carried away. Don't think that you're qualified to tell white people what to do, because you're not. Because we taught you, you didn't teach us. Fella, just shut up. What did he keep telling the empty chair? Shut up.
Yes.
You know, don't say anything else. You talk too much anyway. You've had your say. We've let you come. We've let you warm the seat. We've let you drive around, ride around in limousines to get the feel of it, know how it's like. You can go out and tell all your other people, black people, all your little pickaninnies, what life is like in the White House and whatnot. Now, get back to the plantation where you belong. We have always given our Negroes Watermelon Day out of 1 year on the plantation. We used to do that. Let all the people from the slave shacks come up and throw watermelon rinds all over the tailored lawns of the big house. It would be, we're just going to extend it a little further because one thing, we want to do a whole bunch of damage, mainly put hits on people, mostly black people, on his watch so that history will record. What was that black president known for? Well, he really didn't do anything about money. He didn't hardly have any competence about getting anything done, but he helped us to kill a lot of people. That would be the record. I think that's the aim of the white supremacists for Mr. Obama's record. Oh, yeah, well, now when it came to putting hits on people, in fact, we can always use them to do some droning now, you know. Hey, if you want to be a successful black person, we got some droning we want you to do. We got some people we think ought to be dead. So we don't want to have a record of killing people ourselves all the time. We want black people to be known to be excellent hitmen.
So a non-white person, they say, well, you know, President Obama, he is clearly a non-white person. There is a white person who is working at Wendy's, making minimum wage, struggling. You are not going to tell me that President Obama is inferior to that white person, that President Obama is less than that white person working at Wendy's. What would you say to that?
I would say he's still under the system of white supremacy, and is a white supremacist, according to Mr. Obama himself. He wouldn't have that job.
You're saying if it was not for the white people who practice racism, white supremacy, Mr. President Obama would not be in the White House?
If any black person who forgets that is forgetting a very important fundamental. He couldn't even been running. His name would have not been known. He wouldn't have had a white mother in Kansas who could teach him anything if the white supremacists had not agreed to that. See, I'm talking about white supremacy, thinking about it in depth, not just on the surface. There are a lot of black people just think he just walked in there and say, hey, I'm a president, I'm going to be president, and I'm going to be president because I want to be president, and it don't make no difference what you white people think. He didn't walk in there like that.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
He was campaigning. He said, I'm asking you all to help me. And white people came out in Springfield, Illinois, by the thousands, and took a look at him and said, you know what? I think I'll give this boy a chance to go through the training that we have given him, you know. Because, you know, and like Mr. Obama himself said, you know, in 4 years you can snatch me out of here anyway. They can snatch him out of there before 4 years. Yeah, he can give up that seat tomorrow if the white people decide, hey, that's right. He'll walk right in there, right in the middle of all them papers that are stacked up on his desk. And he's trying to solve problems and all like that. And they walk right in there and they tell him, hey, just like the mafioso, the organized crime, which is what white supremacy is. They just walk in and say, hey, you know, we made a decision this morning. You're out of here. We got a janitor's job for you at Union Station. And that's where he will be. He came to work at 9, at 10, he's down there putting on his janitor's cap and drawing his equipment out of the storage room for buffing floors. First black president. Photograph of it. You know how Mr. Obama looks.
Yes, sir.
He can look the same way, smiling, behind a broom in Union Station in Springfield, Illinois, or whatever the train station is there. Say, how did you go from president to here? White people decided it. Say, well, what do the black people think about that? Well, who cares? They better try to hold on to that janitor's job they got if they got one.
You want to do something? Okay. Fast. Steve.
It has to be a quantum number, though. It has to be a quantum number. In other words, a large number of non-white people, period. Not only a black male, but black females, too. In other words, people who understand white supremacy, what it is and how it works. That's the first order of business. You have to understand that the entire world is dominated by the white supremacists. And if you have color in your skin, you are a person who has been assigned to be mistreated because of your color, because of the way you were born, because of the way that the creator of you, if you are a person of color, a non-white person, the creator put color in your skin. And the white supremacists are saying, well, regardless of who did it, it means you are eligible to be mistreated by me because I'm a white person and you are not white. So I have the power and the authority and the privilege and all of everything that's supposed to be of benefit is supposed to be around me. And you are only supposed to get what I say you can have because you have color in your skin. Now, the non-white people who understand that this is the setup and this is the dominant government of the entire planet, then the white supremacists will understand that you understand this, and if enough people understand it, people can't go. It's something about the mind that says you don't go against something that, you can't ignore something that you understand, particularly when it's working against you. That'll keep bothering you until you'll have a tendency to do something about it. Now, that's what the white supremacists do not want. They do not want black people to be logical. They do not want black people to think about anything except something that's real silly and real stupid. This is why they always glorify stupidity in black people. If a black person has a tendency to show stupidity or silliness, that black person, the white supremacists immediately will seize upon them and say, this person doesn't show any signs of being serious about anything. So these are the black people that we want to become more and more prominent. And we will feed into their silliness. Anything stupid that they come up with, or we come up with for them, we will glorify it. As long as it's stupid and silly. Anything that's serious and constructive, we don't want them to be logical. We don't want them to tap into that. That's not the way we want any people of color to ever think. We want them to be celebratory people, the people who are jumping up and down and turning flips all day and running around in a circle. And then when they bump into each other, they immediately start fighting each other. That's the way we want to keep them. But if you're sitting down and slowly thinking things through and trying to be problem solvers rather than problem makers, no, we don't want those type of non-white people to get out from under our surveillance. You watch them very closely. It's like that dangerous black person on the plantation who's always going around trying to read something or trying to figure things out, asking questions, trying to figure out how the plantation is run. That is a dangerous Negro on this plantation. Sell him down the river or give him a good whipping and stop him from being curious about serious things. Keep him in the silly mode. That is the category that black people are always supposed to be in, the silly mode, the destructive mode. Don't let them think about anything serious because then they become a danger. It's not a race problem. We need a code, and the code you have to do is tell yourself the truth. Everybody understands that. Every doctor that's anything is not going to try to skirt the truth. And everybody who goes to a doctor and is serious about getting healed is not going to try to hide anything from that doctor. If they came to the doctor to get healed, that's why doctors want you to tell them the truth. Say, don't tell me that you're smoking, stop smoking, and you're still smoking. and I'm prescribing this for you and that for you on the assumption that you have stopped smoking? And black people are kind of notorious for telling ourselves things that are not true. That's why we should stop celebrating anything and call everything what? I'm not saying not to get together and do anything. I'm saying if you get together, educate, not celebrate. Balloons and fireworks, that's not education. Mardi Gras is not education. If you've been there once and taken a look at it or something like that, whether in Brazil or New Orleans or whatnot, been there, done that. All right? Now let's think of maybe coming up with a new format, a new code for Mardi Gras. See? Then the world might take up another look at us and say, these people are producing a whole brand new culture, which is exactly what we need. When we say we need to get on code, when I say it, the white supremacists have a code. What is a code? Every time you do it, it works. That's what a code is. An electrical code, a fire code, a program, like computers. I'm not computer savvy, but I understand, computerization is all about figuring out cause and effect, being logical. You can't invent a computer without being logical, without knowing something about cause and effect. You can't go to the moon and back without figuring out something by asking questions and getting answers to cause and effect. What type of fuel that you use that will go into this particular rocket, and how much heat how much heat is that fuel going to produce so that it doesn't burn up or lift off? Because you got people in there. You don't want it to burn up. You got to do a lot of figuring. And what is figuring? It's figuring out cause and effect. And what is cause and effect? Questions and answers. Answers and questions. So black people should become the most questioning people on the planet. Why? Because we have the fewest answers. So don't be, but we hesitate to ask questions, and I understand it, because I used to be that way. It's logical that I would be that way. I've been taught by the white supremacists, don't ask questions. Just walk around acting like I know everything. And that's a sure way to cement ignorance in my brain, to turn my brain into a big block of concrete. Babies come here questioning. And right up to the time you leave here, you should question. Somebody told me, some preacher told me a long time ago, even when Jesus was here, and a lot of people say Jesus is their leader, Jesus left this planet with a question. And I think it was, if I got it correctly, theologians can correct me if I'm incorrect. What was the question? My God, why hast thou forsaken me? I understand those are the last words of the person who was a great influence on the minds of people, was a question. So questions are always in order. Why? Because there are things you don't know that you probably need to know. Now, every inventor who's worth being called an inventor is a question asker. And the people, like I said, given that illustration about the moon, first of all, you say, what is that? Can I get there? What is it for? What does it do? What purpose does it serve? You might have 10 million questions about one thing. And that's something that the white supremacists understand that black people don't seem to understand at all. We like to strut around and think, black males, many of us, tell the truth, take off our shirts, flex our muscles, put on some dark shades, cuss everybody out, and say, I know everything, can't nobody tell me nothing. Now, how many times have I heard that from black males more than anybody? More than anybody I have ever been around in my entire existence on this planet. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Well, that's a terrible thing. According to what? Neely Fuller? logic. Can't nobody tell you nothing? Can't nobody tell you nothing? You know everything that you need to know about everything? And everybody I've seen who had that attitude has wound up in early disaster. Everybody, without exception, who said that and really meant it. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Part of the code, black people's code, the victim's code, I say, should be, I'll listen to everybody who wants to tell me anything, because I'll be learning even things that I don't want to hear. I'll still be learning. You don't turn down an opportunity to learn, period. But what is that saying that they associate with black people? The only people on the planet that they associate with black people? What's that slogan that you often hear used? If you want to hide something from a black person, put it in a book. Oh, absolutely. Everything that the white supremacists do, and this is important to remember. If a white person is a person that believes in and practices white supremacy, which is racism, he or she does nothing that's not going to give strength to the system of white supremacy intentionally. Anything that they do intentionally and deliberately is always to make the system of white supremacy stronger. They avoid doing anything that's going to be a danger to the system of racism. Why? Because if you're a racist, it's in the best interest of you as a racist to become stronger, not weaker. So anything in any of the areas of activity, economics, you're not going to do anything in economics that's not going to make white supremacists stronger. Education, same thing. Anything that they teach, anything that they go to learn. You talk to a racist and whatnot, and you say you're setting up some kind of school, that racist mind begins to turn and say, wait a minute, is this school going to make me stronger as a racist? It's going to help me to practice better power over black people? Or is it not? Is it going to weaken me? Entertainment, the third area of activity, same thing. Am I going to take part in this play? Is it going to help to make me stronger as a white supremacist? Or is it going to make me weaker and make a black person stronger in a constructive manner? I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to participate. If I'm a white supremacist, no, I'm not participating in any form of entertainment that's going to help a black person do anything of constructive value. Now, if they're going to do something in the third area of activity, entertainment, all right, that's going to be non-constructive for black people and constructive, giving me greater strength as a white supremacist, then I'll participate in that play or in that movie or in that event or in that festival or in that whatever it is, that gathering that they're going to have in the entertainment field. It's the same way in any field: education, economics, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Any one or more of the 9 areas of activity, the racist bells always go off when they look at anything that's going on. And people are always doing something. Everybody's doing something. A racist always looks at everything and say, is it going to weaken black people and make them more stupid than they already are and have them doing crazy things that's very destructive to themselves and other black people? And if it's not, I don't want to have nothing to do with it. That's the white supremacist philosophy. Deals with black pride, and the second one, white friends. Now, don't try to be proud to be black. First of all, I've said for years, what are you saying and who are you talking to? You say, you know, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. To whom are you talking? And what is the effect supposed to be? I've always said you're black because whatever created you made you black. Marcus Garvey said that. He said that God made black people black and he didn't make a mistake. End of story. Right there. In other words, you were made black. You shouldn't be proud of something that you were made in the first place because you didn't have anything to do with it. Everything in the code is about logic. You don't have to say that ever to anybody. You don't have to tell people how proud you are to be black. You don't have to wear some type of hairstyle in order to prove that you're black. Prove it to whom? In order to, you know, people see that you're black. That's a done deal. That's a done deal. Now, what are you supposed to be doing? See, now we get into the real part. What are you supposed to be doing as a black person? Or let's go to the essentials. What are you supposed to be doing as a creature on this planet each and every minute of each and every day? You're supposed to be engaged in constructive activity of problem solving. That's the logical conclusion. And you don't have to mention anything about how black you are. Running around the block, I mean, shouting at everybody, you know, I'm black. I mean, you know, everybody, look at me, I'm black, black, black. You know, I'm proud to be black. I ain't ashamed to be black. You don't have to say any of that. That's not going to get you anything anyway. Nobody gives you nothing, or nobody helps you to do anything based on that. Just do the things that need doing, like problem solving. That should be how you express your blackness. Walk in and say, not I'm black and I'm proud. Walk in and say, what's the problem? Because I am capable of solving problems. That's what I am about. Because I don't have any black friends. Because in the system of white supremacy, we're not in a friendly world. What you do is minimize conflict. Anything that you can do or say, if you see people in conflict, try to minimize the conflict by doing the most constructive thing. That should be the concentration, not going around trying to gather friends. See, that's abstract. That's too abstract. Black people, non-white people, should get away from the abstractness. Of course, everything starts from abstractness, but you're supposed to get to focus and clarity and make something practical. Everything that you do on this planet is supposed to be practical in problem solving.
Listen.
In everything that we do in all 9 areas of activity. And what are the 9 areas of activity? Economics, how you use your time and energy. How do black people, for the most part, use their time and energy when the white supremacists are not making us do something in order to eat and sleep somewhat comfortably? How do we usually use our time and energy when we have what we call a day off, all right, or hours off, or some minutes to ourselves, as you might say? Just look at what we do. Look at what most black people in the northwestern hemisphere do, and I think in many parts of the world, when they have what you call leisure time, time to yourself, time to do a limited number of things that you're allowed to do in the prison yard of the system of white supremacy. What we do is show off to each other. And how do the white supremacists control that? Simply by having our minds set in doing just that. We look forward all of our days, everything that we do, if we stop and think about it and tell the truth about it. What black people in the northwestern hemisphere do, as far back as I can remember, is looking forward to showing off to other black people. We're going to buy something to show off. We're all in the department stores and whatnot. I mean, everything from a fancy department store, where they have real fancy clothes and jewelry and whatever, and what the latest styles are and whatnot. What are you getting that for? What are you knocking yourself out, making all those payments for? To show off. To show off to whom? Just stand in the mirror all day and look at yourself? No. You want to show off. You want to strut around in front of somebody. Who is this somebody you want to strut around in front of? Tell the truth now. It is other people that look like you. Because white people are not paying no attention to you at all anyway. They don't even want to see you. Get the heck out of here. I don't even want to see you. Except when I call you to do some work for me. And other than that, bye. And what you got on and what you're driving and all like that means absolutely nothing to me. Just get out of my sight. That's the white supremacist philosophy, okay? Until I call you to do something for me. Now you can come around, okay? So what does that leave non-white people to do? Strut around showing off to each other. And if you can't find something to buy to show off, or you can't stand in the middle of the sidewalk, and show off by jumping up and down and turning flips, all right, then you do something like what? Young black people spend a lot of time doing what? Riding around, shooting guns. Now, you might not look at that as showing off, but that's exactly what it is. If you tell the truth, if you will tell the truth to them, and they'll tell the truth to themselves, they're saying, this is mostly what that's about. What is gangs about? Showing off. Showing off to whom? To other people that look like you that is in the other gang. That's it. And you show off by doing what? By shooting guns at them. Hey, there you go. He ain't wearing the colors. Shoot him. And then he shoot back at me. I shoot back at him. But what is it all about? What are you getting out of it? Since every time you fire a bullet, it ain't like somebody's paying you. It ain't like you're going to get a mansion or something. It ain't like you're going to do 2 or 3 years of this and then retire somewhere in some chateau in France. So what are you doing it for? Showing off. Dismal, pitiful, showing off. Because everything that black people do that's connected with that little pitiful showing off, our little parties and whatnot, our barbecues, showing off, showing off, showing off, showing off. And when you fall down exhausted from showing off, what have you got in return for your showing off? Absolutely nothing but a cocaine high. When I say cocaine high, even if you're not on drugs, showing off is a drug. Because there's no return on your investment. None. You just think that it is. And we got to stop doing it. The code says, stop doing anything to show off. Don't show off to nobody, because you ain't qualified to show off. Yes, the white supremacists do this in all 9 areas of activity all of the time.
Okay.
See, in other words, the way to confuse people is to lead them to have questions with no answers. That's what confusion is. Lots of questions with no answers. Why is this happening? Why is that happening? What are those people doing over there? Why are they doing it? And all like that.
I see.
Well, in all the areas of activity, the white supremacists say, keep those dark-skinned people confused.
So,
and that way, confusion brings on what? Frustration. Oh, you improve your self-esteem by doing things that work. This is what self-esteem comes from. Doing things that work, and work in a comfortable, fashion. In other words, you get comfort from it. And your self-esteem automatically is being built on you doing things and saying things that work for you. That's what self-esteem is. Doesn't work against you. Your self-esteem starts disappearing when you're doing things that are working against you. I mean, it just starts slowly easing away from you so that you don't have any left. But all so-called self-esteem comes from you know what to do, you know how to solve problems. See, basically that's it, problem solving. And that's where self-esteem comes from.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to the place you have a whole lot of problems, you don't know how to solve them, your self-esteem goes, and then you just start doing any kind of old thing. Just start lashing out at anything because you're frustrated. Confusion brings about frustration. Frustration brings about all kinds of chaos. And the chaos brings about all kinds of conflict if you're around other people. Because you'll just lash out at everybody and then eventually lash out against yourself. I mean, what you're doing when you really just lash out at anybody and everybody with no particular reason for doing so, which is what black people do a lot of. That's why we are very toxic when we're around each other. We're frustrated, we're confused, we're angry, and we're going to take it out on somebody. We don't want to keep just hitting ourselves upside the head all day long, so we hit somebody else upside the head.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Why? Because they look like us.
Mm-hmm.
And so since we're the ones that are confused, we want to lash out at anything that looks like the person that's confused.
Yes, sir.
So the person that looks like me is me.
Mm-hmm.
So since I'm not looking in a mirror all day long, and I'm angry with myself because I can't figure out what to do with myself, so I will pick out somebody that looks like me. This is the way it works. And I will lash out at that person. Might even kill them.
Wow.
What you looking at me for? Oh, you see my weaknesses. You see I'm confused. You see that I don't know what I'm doing. You think that I'm not a man. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. That's what I'll do with you. That'll take care of that. Meaning, I'm shooting myself. Because when I see them, I see myself. Because they are weak also. And they, black people expose each other's weaknesses and then get mad about it.
And then don't stand.
That is the reason we slaughter each other.
The only thing black people value, really, because we've been trained, is what? Impressing other black people. That's as far, collectively, as our thoughts go. Truth be told, that's a painful truth. But we got to make a priority, replace the system of white supremacy with justice. That has to be the priority. We got to get out of what we call that whole thing about black culture, because black culture is about one thing. If we tell the truth, look at it, just don't believe what I'm saying, just look at what we actually do. Once we get just a few steps ahead, just like little children playing with toys in Toyland, we run around trying to impress each other. That's like slaves rattling their chains at the bottom of the ship, saying, my chains are shinier than yours, telling the other slave that. And sometimes getting into a bragging thing that leads to an argument. And there they are banging each other over the head with their chains. And we are still in that state of mind in 2016, worldwide, truth be told. We don't have any ambition that goes beyond one black person trying to impress another black person any way that we can, including just going in and shooting up the place. That makes an impression. I killed him. I killed a whole bunch of black guys over there in the bar tonight, and I got away. Ha, ha, ha. Hooray for me. Now I got a reputation around the hood. That's as far as our minds go. And in business, the same thing. In every area of activity. You don't know nothing. I know everything. How many times do you hear that in a black barber shop? Oh man, you don't know nothing. I've been to New York. I've been to Paris. You don't know what I know. One Negro showing off to another Negro. Black people making a priority for their entire lives of showing off their shiny chains that were put on them by the white supremacists to other black people and calling it life. That's what my life is all about. I was able to impress a few of my so-called friends and a few people who didn't know me, who got to know me now, and they are all black, and they are impressed with my so-called progress, and hooray for me. I have arrived in heaven on earth. Truth be told, that is as far as our ambition goes. And the white supremacists looked at this little childish stuff and say, Negroes forever. I got them right where I want them. Because our ambition is to conquer the entire universe, if we can, and everything in it. And if there are 50,000 universes out there, we're going to conquer them too. Even if there's nobody on those planets, we'll just call them ours anyway. Why? Because we are super people. We don't have shallow minds. We don't have shallow goals. A Negro, all he wants to do is strut up and down the block and show off the little things that I allowed him to have, show these things off to some other downtrodden Negro and say, I'm better than you. And that's good enough for me. Rather than use the term white supremacy, use the term white aggression. Okay, put that on the board. Erase the term white supremacy, put white aggression on the board. Does that change the circumstances? I have found that it doesn't. You can switch words around and play with words all you want to. I say that to people based on logic. But if the situation is the same, what does supreme means? Why are you afraid of it? Anything can be supreme, you know. I mean, if you let it, and we let the system of white supremacy exist, simply because we think we can wish it away. We don't make any effort to replace it with a better system. And that better system would be the system of justice, logically speaking. They say, yeah, but, you know, you're giving you know, those white aggressors, they ain't nothing. I mean, you're giving them too much credit. I'm not giving them anything other than what the rest of us are giving. I mean, you know, I'm giving them what I'm giving them, and that is what they demand that they want. Now, if that ain't supreme, I don't know what is. I do what they tell me to do. That's supreme, folks. I don't tell them what to do. They tell me what to do. I'm a prisoner of war. I was born in a prison. Every non-white person who is existing now, truth be told, is a prisoner of the system of white supremacy. That's why we are protesting how we are being treated. They are not protesting how they are being treated by us. That's supreme. That's what supreme means. It doesn't mean you're good. See, people get the two words mixed up. Words are very important. If you say white aggression, yes, it's white aggression. That's how they got to be supreme. They were very aggressive in becoming supreme. They say we're going to take over the non-white people of this world, black, brown, red, and yellow, and having them begging us about whether or not they'll be able to eat tomorrow or today or sleep tonight, because we can kill them anytime we want to, all of them. And they can't kill us anytime they want to kill us, because a lot of them might want to kill us right now, but they don't have the know-how, and they ain't got the muscle. All right, just like, you know, in the Corleones, if you want to use the Godfather movie as an example. Hey, who has the muscle? Who has the muscle? Well, if we had it, then they wouldn't be treating us like this. This is the kind of thinking that gets black people in trouble when they jump out of a car when they are being pulled over and an armed person walks up to them, and that person has a white face who may or may not be a racist, and all of a sudden, woof, 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 woof. Black people have, you know, a lot of us have these big, heavy voices. A lot of us been lifting weights and all like that, and we got a lot of muscle in our bodies, but not a whole lot of muscle, the record has shown, in our brains, all right? we are not known to be the most brainiest people in the world. Truth be told. And the white supremacists know that because they have seen to it that we haven't learned very much in the little time that we have been under their tutelage, because they block us from learning. But we walk around trying to make ourselves believe that we know everything, and that does not pay off very well, particularly when we start trying to express it in the form of counter-aggression against the aggressor. Like I said, many of us, and I've seen it, and some of us have experienced it, jumping out of the car, woof, 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 woof. You ain't gonna put them cuffs on me. I mean, I got my rights. I know what my rights are. I'm tired of this. Woof, 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 woof. Okay, all right, woof, woof, woof. And what has the record shown? That most of us who do that wind up out of this world within the next 2 or 3 seconds, and everybody that's supposed to be our homies, our kinfolks, our friends, people who are fighting for our rights and all like that, out there with signs and balloons and candles and teddy bears for the 10 millionth time saying, woe is me, this has got to stop, we can't have no more of this. But it all started with that being unrealistic, with woof, 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 woof. I know my rights. You can't do this to me. Oh, hey, boy, I can't do this to you when I have been doing it to everybody that looks like you, and my foreparents before me been doing it to everybody that looks like you, like forever in recorded history, and you bang, 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 bang. Okay, now what do you say about what I can't do to you, boy? Huh? Can you speak? Hey, you're lying here on this highway. Speak up, boy. Hey, can't you tell me all about how you did, who you could whip in the cell block? All right, where you spent most of your time before you got in my face? Tell me all about it, boy, with them 15 bullets I just put in you. Tell me all about how you built the pyramids. And then while your buddy's waiting down the highway for me to go down there and do the same thing to him. You people never wake up and smell the coffee. Smell white supremacy. How about that smell? Word L-I-K-E?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely not. If we waited on that, we'd be waiting forever. Because the system is not even designed to have black people like each other. Not to say anything about love. You hear a lot of stuff about black love and whatnot. That's non-existent. You can't have love in the system of white supremacy. That doesn't compute at all. So you have to get the mechanics down. And then you have set the seeds. You have planted the seeds where you can get this liking and this love. You're not going to get it in the system of white supremacy. The system of white supremacy is designed for hostility. And we have all been poisoned by that. So that clears up that mystery, I think. And that is, no, I mean, you are supposed to be able to function with people that you don't care about emotionally at all. Because this thing about having it already in existence, talking about, you hear black people sometimes say something that's absolutely false, and that is talking about this black love that exists. You can't have love in the system of white supremacy. Why? Because what does the word love mean? See, we toss that word around loosely, very loose. So it's meaningless. It means absolutely nothing. It's non-existent. But what is it in essence about what it should be? The word love, and I have this in the word guide, and the word justice are one and the same. You cannot have one without the other. So since you can't have justice, going by the computer now, going by logic, you can't have justice and white supremacy in the same universe.
at the same time. Therefore, you can't have love either, since love and justice are one and the same. And what is justice? Guaranteeing that no person is mistreated, and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. Now, no black person can guarantee that.
Listen.
The system of white supremacy. The system of white supremacy is a prison system, and the non-white people of this planet have been taken prisoner. So therefore, when a white person in the system of white supremacy has sexual intercourse with a non-white person, that is the same as a warden having sexual intercourse with a prisoner. It's also the same as a, quote, unquote, adult person having sexual intercourse with a child.
Wow.
Because the non-white people, the black people of this planet, in the system of white supremacy, have been put into a childlike position in every area of activity. We are childlike. Economics, we're childlike. Education, we're childlike. Entertainment, we're childlike. Politics, religion. Why? Because we come under the authority of Big Mama and Big Daddy, who are the white supremacists of this world. Why? Because children are dependent on grown people. The white supremacists are the grown people of this planet in the system of white supremacy, and the victims of white supremacy, black people, brown people, red people, are the children, the illegitimate children. Now, some people have said they've seen some cartoons of my work on the Internet that have been presented, and that it pretty well embellishes what I have been trying to say in my textbooks. And to the extent that it does that, well, that has been, from what I understand, some people reported to me, a plus. Because they didn't understand what I had written very well, but when they saw those cartoons that just repeated what I was saying and attaching my name to it, and came right out of the book, the material did, they say that they better understood it. And I can understand that because people are kind of visual, particularly in the year 2021 now, more visual than ever. Been taught that. We're told that. I mean, that's an assumption. That's not an assumption we just made based on evidence. Those who say that, we've been taught. You know, you hear it all the time. You're in control. You're in control. You can be anything that you want to be. Anything that you want to be, you can be it. And that may be theoretically true. But if you're black and you're on this planet, you're going to have to deal with the white supremacists in anything that you want to be that's worth being. Now, anything that's not worth being, any type of silliness, any type of foolishness, any type of dangerous activity, anything that's tacky or trashy or terroristic, you can do that because that's all been authorized. But anything that's going to be constructively productive in a concerted way, in a focused way, in a clear way, in a steady way, the white supremacists will come around and say, oh no, if you're going to do anything that's a real improvement, something that's really a breakthrough and really constructive, you're going to have to get my permission to do it, and I ain't giving my permission. And if you don't like it, fight me. I'll challenge any of you because I'm an expert at violence. You people think you know something about violence on the south side of Chicago. Have you ever seen me when I really get in a violent mode? All of you black people all over the planet, you think you know something about violence, you get in my face. I invented violence. I'm the master of violence. I teach violence all the time. I teach it to you. The AK-47s that you have, you get them from me. And don't you forget it. You're totally helpless when it comes to anything. In economics, in education, in war, trying to run a family and whatnot. You don't have a family. I'm in charge of your families. I'm in charge of your entire village. I'm in charge of what you call your entire country. I run everything. You don't move on the ocean without me, without my permission.
Mm-hmm.
I know where you all are. I mean, I have planes in the air all the time that can watch you when you're trying to put a needle, put some thread on a needle. I know when you're doing it because I invented the thread and the needle. And even if I didn't invent it, I took it over. So don't start talking to me about your inventions either, because whatever you have, I have, because I took you, which means I took everything that you have, including all your ancient knowledge that you claim that you have. And so this is why in the book that I wrote, I say black people shouldn't brag about anything. We should be out of the bragging business altogether. I mean like almost forever, into infinity, because we have lost everything if we ever had anything worth having. We have lost it under the system of white supremacy. We are not in a position to brag about anything, and when we do, we come under that silly banner, because the white supremacists would look at us and say, what are they parading about? What are they bragging about? Look at their condition. Look at the condition of what they call their families. They beg us for everything. They're not in charge of anything. Not one thing are they in charge of. But they have time to brag. We have really done an excellent job on them. Let's keep doing it. See, it always comes down to procedure. See, black people love slogans. You know, black power, fist in the air. We love a lot of drama. Dark glasses and looking ominous and all this kind of stuff, and dreadlocks and all the rest of it. I mean, to assert our manhood, that's a whole bunch of nothing. I mean, let's face it. We got to deal with truth. I mean, black people more than any people on the earth talk about keeping something real. And we're the most unrealistic people that ever existed in the history of the universe. Because we won't, first of all, tell the truth about our prison-like state and the system of white supremacy. We have to understand the system that we're in and stop pretending. Stop being actors. Stop pretending to be fathers. Stop pretending to be mothers. Stop pretending to be something other than what we are, victims of white supremacy. Because now some people will say, well, if we look at ourselves as victims, that kills the spirit. No, it doesn't. See, black people want all these wonderful reports. We are great when it comes to drama and pageantry. We want somebody to tell us how great we are because we're just so black and proud. Well, it doesn't make sense in the system of white supremacy. We don't have anything to be proud about. But that doesn't mean that we just go around and forever be heads down, hand dog.
Right.
It means you do like any people do who have odds against them. Know what the odds are and start codifying how you are going to overcome these odds, and don't spend 5 minutes bragging about yourself. And when you're subject to a system where the system is designed to be insulting, and that's the system of racism, and all non-white people are subject to that system, that's my evaluation, then you can expect to be insulted each and every day, either directly or indirectly, even when you don't think you're being insulted, even when the insulting language is not used. You're still being insulted by being subject to an insulting system, because the system of racism is insulting, and that's the only system that we have ever known. When I say we, I mean the people who are classified as non-white. The white supremacists, and that's the correct title for them, of this planet, are the dominant political and religious force and economic force, if you want to use the term economics,
I don't use it within that context, but they are the dominant people on the planet when it comes to non-white people. So non-white people can expect. We shouldn't get jolted when we're insulted or call names, anything like that. You can't, there's no way to pretty it up anyway. And when people do try to pretty up an incorrect system, then they are going more into the realm of illusion. And that is going to engender more frustration, confusion, and ultimately disappointment and anger. Because you can't walk around trying to evade reality. We're in a racist system. We're not in any other system. Racism is not something that people encounter every now and then. We're in a racist system. The entire system is racist. There's no part of the system that is not racist. In every area of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Now what does that mean? It means that the people who have chosen to be racist, meaning white supremacists, have become the most powerful political and religious people on the planet when it comes to non-white people. People who are classified as black, brown, red, yellow, tan, beige, etc., etc. And so therefore, that's an insulting system. And so black people have gotten to the place, particularly in the modern times, since what we call the post-chattel slavery, black people expect to be respected. That's why black people kill each other, many of them, many of the younger black people more than anybody, about this thing called dissing or being disrespected. You're in a disrespectful system, and all the killing that black people do among each other all the time, saying you're disrespecting me, therefore I have to kill you so that you won't disrespect me anymore. And then you run right into the same thing again and again and again. How many bodies can you stack up? Because you are being disrespected in a disrespectful system. If you're classified as black, you're not supposed to be respected. You're on a slave ship. The entire planet is a slave ship. It's not called that, but that's basically what it is. And the destination of that ship is just its own destination, meaning subjugation to the system of racism. There's no black person anywhere on the planet who is not subject to the system of racism. So you wake up in the morning, go through the day, and go to bed that night, and all through the night while you're asleep, you're being disrespected. You're being insulted because you have been put into a prison based on your color. That is one of the biggest insults, not only that a person can receive, but it's really a slap in the face and an attempted insult to the creator of the universe. But the white supremacists don't care about that. They don't mind insulting the creator of the universe. They'll say, I don't like your creation. You made all these black, brown, red, and yellow people and put them among me. I'm supposed to have the planet to myself. And since they're here, though, I will insult them and I will kick them around. Your product, even though I am your product, I don't want to be bothered with these other products that you made. So actually, they are not only at war with the black people of this planet, they're at war with their creator and with ours. Unless I've been misinformed.
Listen.
Well, to the extent that the white supremacist has anything to do with anything that black people do, they do things that are harmful to black people. That's the answer. The prisoners of war are supposed to be harmed the way that they think. You got color in your skin, you are eligible to be dominated and mistreated. That's what you are born for. That's what they are taught.
I mean, it's not even personal. It's just built into the system of government, world government, that if a person has color in his or her skin, in every area of activity, find a way, if you're white, if you're classified as white, have been, quote, unquote, fortunate enough to have been born white, part of your duties, one of your main duties, is to walk around on the face of this earth, and if you encounter, either deliberately or just incidentally, people of color, particularly people classified as black, out of the non-white people, you are automatically supposed to think of a way, regardless of whatever else you're thinking about. If you are classified as white, you're supposed to automatically say, yon goes a person with color in his or her skin. Now, as a duty, as a white person, it is my duty to kind of figure out a way to get over there where that black person is and figure out a way that you can do some type of harm to that person. Period. That's the way they are taught. That's the way we all are taught. Black people are taught to treat each other that way. By whom? Directly, indirectly, through the books and all like that, and through the use of the word dark and black, and the way the word is used, that is outlined in the code book, in the word guide, and in the basic textbook. The way the word has been used, dark or black, something evil, something, that, hey, what is that? Throw rocks at it. Stop it from moving. And if you're not going to stop it from moving it, watch it while it moves and see if it does anything that you can find a way to disapprove of, and then take action against it. Now, when you see yourself that way, you're seeing yourself the way that the white supremacists and most white people on this planet have been taught from birth to react at the sight of a person who has color. The darker, the more foreboding, the more Halloween, the more Walking Dead, the more ghoulish, the more grotesque that thing is. Something that brings horror, something that is a terrorist, something evil. They're taught that. So you're supposed to understand that. All right?
Claude Anderson, he recently said, it was almost a mind-blowing point. Claude Anderson said that when black people kill black people, we're actually emulating white people.
Absolutely. I mean, he's not the only one to say that. I mean, hundreds of books have been saying, I've been saying it. I mean, and black people know that. Black people get up in the morning, a lot of black teenagers all over the world now, and particularly in the Northwestern Hemisphere, it's completely self-evident. This is what all the locks on the doors are about. This is why walking down the street is dangerous. It's because we have got black people walking around all day long looking for an excuse, because we're trying to, particularly black males and a growing number of black females, looking for a way to prove that we are somebody. And the way that we do that is you do harm to another person of color. Find somebody that looks just like you and try to, hey, I'm going to get all over that thing. I'm going to kill that thing. I mean, that thing shouldn't even be here. I shouldn't be here, but I ain't got nerve to kill myself, so I kill him because he looks like me. That's a reflection of me. That reminds me of me, and I can't stand myself, so why could I stand him? And that's why we kill each other by the bushel all over the world as we're speaking right now. And we call it tribalism. We give it all kind of names. Well, you ain't a member of my gang. Yes, you are. You're all fellow prisoners, that's all. But you got prison gangs, all right? And the warden says, well, hey, let them kill each other. I mean, hey, the less burden on the taxpayer. We're tired of running ambulances for these Negroes. yes, but see, you have to codify your approach to any black person. And that is, for one thing, you can't get in an argument with black people, period. I mean, we got to stop arguing. The minute the argument starts, according to the code, then you say, I will talk to you some other time. You know, a brother or sister or whomever you're talking to, and you always have something else to do once the argument starts. All right? Do not feed that argument, because that's going to... Black people, we go at each other. We do not do togetherness very well at all. We have to admit that, because we have been loaded with poison, and all of us have been affected by that poison. This is important to remember. I mean, super over the top important. We all carry poison. It varies in degrees in different parts of the world, but Rwanda shows it. Every neighborhood where you find black people clustered together, it is pure poison all over that place. I mean, you name it, it's poison. I mean, and we cannot even speak to each other for 15 minutes without that poison coming to the surface.
Yes, sir.
Particularly in the northwestern hemisphere. I mean, I hear people outside my window on a Saturday night, and I've heard it all of my existence on this planet. And sometimes just talking on the phone. People just passing by the building. All right? And what do I hear? I can recognize sometimes what we call a black voice, and it's practically screaming and yelling every type of curse word that you can possibly think of in the English language. And most likely, for sure, talking to another black person, because that's how we communicate. And talking about what we are going to kick when I see you next time. All right? You better not be there when I get there. I mean, you can believe that. Yeah, now you be there when I get there, because I'm on my way over there right now. And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm tired of telling you. Now, that's the kind of conversations you hear. You hear just walking down a sidewalk. I mean, we are some kind of loaded with hostility like you wouldn't believe.
Don't fuck with me!
I mean, you can feel it, and you can get around 10 black people, and you can almost feel it coming. But when we're joking around, it's hostile. Hostility. Now, every now and then, we'll kind of, you know, have a facade of kind of breaking that up into a whole bunch of high fives and hugs, which is 99% phony, all right? Because right behind it is going to be the pop of the 9mm. That is our Bible. And if not that, some type of dagger. Recently been using a lot of knives, because gunplay gets you deeper into trouble with the white supremacists. All right, we know we got the answer to the white supremacists even when we slaughter each other. I don't care whether it's in the Congo or Rwanda or South Central or South Side Chicago or Washington, D.C., anywhere, okay, where you have black people, you have that built-in hostility. Man, I'll kill you. Don't you know I'll kill you? Don't you understand that I kill you? You keep on running your mouth. I'll kill you. I can kill you.
Yeah.
And I'll settle with the consequences later to prove that I'm a man.
Yeah.
And we are, particularly black males, and a growing number of black females who are trying to be males, because they'll find out that they have to be just to survive. Almost. Act like the males, dress like them, talk like them, get that swag, all of it. You can't be a man in the system of white supremacy. That's absolutely impossible. Not Neely Fuller, not a college professor, not anybody. There's no such thing as a black man in the system of white supremacy. Being an old boy, I mean, you know, talking about our elders or whatnot. They're just old boys. That's all they are in the system of white supremacy. Let the white supremacists come around and see how quick they go from man to boy. How, hey, I don't take no stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? You don't take no stuff. I mean, when the white supremacists come around, you don't take no stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't survive without them. They let you breathe, mister. Stop lying to yourself and stop trying to prove it to the boys in the hood.
Yeah.
Because when boss man show up, or boss woman, okay, because, oh yeah, you can push the white woman around when ain't nobody looking. But the white supremacists get on your tail. I mean, you gonna be, yes, master, no, master, maybe so, Bwana. Cut me a little slack, Bwana. Don't send me back to the prison again. Don't lynch me again. Don't do this again and again and again like you did my grandmama. Oh no, see, all the facade, all of the nonsense goes out the window when master comes around.
Yeah.
Every black professor, every black guy hanging out on the street,
Yes, sir.
selling drugs, we all know this. But our biggest problem is we keep lying to ourselves about how powerful we are and how great we are because we built the pyramids. That won't get you not one dime worth of nothing in 2019.
We're not thinking about what's coming at us at all, because most people don't even have an idea that such a thing as white supremacy exists. When it controls everything, if you're black, everything that you're doing, the white supremacists control. Even when you think that you're controlling something. The average black person wakes up in the morning and say, well, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. Well, you're going to do this and you're going to do that on whose terms? I mean, when you walk out your door and the street that you walk on, who determines what street that you're going to be on? Even when you walk out what you call your door. Because your door might not even be your door. Your door may be something that you owe somebody for. Have you thought of that? You say, this is my door. This is my house. Is it really? When you stop to think, who really owns your house? Are you beholden to anybody? I mean, is this a house that you built on the street that you built in the place that you decided it would be? Or was the place already there and somebody told you it might be a good idea for you to go over there and take a look and then move in? Move in on what? On whose terms? On your terms? Not likely. On somebody else's terms. And who is that somebody else, ultimately? Who is it? Have you ever asked? Have you ever thought about it? Do you really control your existence on this planet? The average black person, particularly black males, we got this thing about, physicality. If I take off my shirt and I got big bulging muscles, I mean, somehow that's a cure-all for everything in the world. I'm a black male, and I got strong muscles. I can lift weights, and I can run down the street faster than anybody else and get where I'm going. That somehow makes me a strong black man, and that's all I need. I got these bulging muscles. I'm fit and I'm trim. I love to take my shirt off, particularly, in the summertime and whatnot. I don't want to wear a shirt at all. I take my shirt off so people can see my strong muscles. Okay. And I can lift things. I can go here and I can go there. But have you ever stopped to think about what you can use your muscles for? Or against? And what's the product? Is this all that you have? Do you have anything else to show for your being on this planet up to now? Do you have a plan for the future that goes beyond just you taking up the sidewalk, making people walk around you when you come down the sidewalk because you're in the middle, and they have to go past you, the ladies with the baby strollers and all like that, because you are, your own man? Or are you really a man? Because the people who, when Martin Luther King was assassinated, there were a lot of strong males, strong black males, but I tend to believe they were people who understood their position in the system of white supremacy. That's why they had signs. Now, these are people that lift garbage pails. You got to be strong to do that. But they had signs saying what? I am a man. People right now can go to their computers and punch up the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated, April 1968. And there in Memphis, Tennessee, Martin Luther King was there to help the garbage workers, who were all black, I understand, to get higher wages. And these garbage workers, these sanitation workers, proud people who, many of them, I mean, were, you might call it that day, pillars of the community and in the church and all like that. But they were sanitation workers. But they were also saying, yeah, even though we're sanitation workers, we should be getting a decent wage. But they didn't have signs saying we should be getting a decent wage. They had signs saying, almost in unison, there are photographs of it. That's a historical record, saying what? I am a man, M-A-N. Like Muddy Waters even had a song saying, man, man, you know.
Right.
Over and over again. And when black people, and they don't say it so much nowadays, they say dude, but black people used to use the word man all the time back in the 40s and 50s. Why?
Right.
You had to keep saying that to kind of reassure yourself that that's what you should be. You should be treated like a man. You know, I'm a man. I mean, don't be calling me no boy. I'm a man. You say boy this and boy that. I'm tired of hearing that. You know, I mean, even when black people would say it to each other, hey boy, you know, hey, well, you know, man, hey, I'm a man. I'm 3 times 7. That was a common saying. 3 times 7. That makes me 21. You know, I'm a man. And if you don't believe I'm a man, I'll prove it to you. Meaning I will do harm to you physically. That's what it meant in the old days. But see, black people had to keep saying that to each other. And finally they had to start saying it to white people, but the white supremacists said, it's only going to be one man on this planet. And you boys who want to be men, I tell you what, after Martin Luther King is dead, I'll make a deal with you. You'll go from boys, not to men. You'll go from boys to women.
To women.
Yes. I will degenderize you and get you to love it. You will love acting like your sisters and love being that way and go around looking for another male to do things with you in the bed like you're a female.
Listen.
No, I've never done that because I've never run into anybody, any white people who had the same last name as me. I've never had. I've never run into a person named Fuller who was white in my entire existence. I haven't run into that person. But if that person would ever contact me, according to the code, page 95 in the textbook for victims of racism, that you can get by going to producejustice.com, I'll just put that note in there. You know, if you happen to encounter, your name is Jones or Johnson. I mean, you should, and that person is white, you have the same last name as that white person, and you're a person that is black, well, according to people like whom they call the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that's where our names came from in the Northwestern Hemisphere. Black people's names came from white people who owned them, their family chain. So it's logical under compensatory law that these are the people who should step forward. In fact, white people who are named Johnson should try to find black people who are named Johnson and say, how can I help you? Because, hey, my ancestors, you know, I was able to be successful based on your captivity.
Okay.
And everything that I have now as Mr. William Johnson, and I'm a white person, and I got all this money, and, you know, and I'm doing well, and all of the Johnson family going way back. I mean, hey, we have done quite well.
Okay.
But you people, you black people named Johnson, you haven't been doing too well. So when I run into a black person named Johnson and I'm a white man and my name is Johnson, I say, Mr. Johnson, I mean, you know, my ancestors probably owned,
your ancestors just like I own you now, directly and indirectly under the system of white supremacy. So is there any help that I can give you? Let me know. You say, is your name Mr. Jones? Mr. Jerry Jones? And if he says yes, you say, well, my name is Jones, you know, and we may have something in common, you know. And do you think that we should discuss this if you're willing to?
Oh, okay.
And if he will, fine.
Okay.
But if he won't, I'm quite sure he'll tell you. Seek to have all white persons who have the same last name as yourself. You can start right there in your school or wherever you are, if you're in the Army or anything, okay, to give you direct help in some or all of your financial, technical, and or educational efforts. Now notice I was very specific.
Yes.
Page 95 under economics in the revised expanded edition of the textbook. Seek to have all white persons who have the same last name as yourself. For instance, family name, historical title, etc. And have that person give you direct help, because you're asking for help.
Yes.
White people are in position to give the help most black people. They really are. Some white people are not. But most white people can give some kind of help, even if it's what I have listed here. Financial. Most white people have more money than black people. Technical.
Mm-hmm.
Technical. I'm going to say that again. Most white people have more money in the northwestern hemisphere, I don't know about other places, than most black people.
Yes.
I mean, the statistics show that. Jobs and whatnot, you get more money. So financial, that would be first.
Yes.
Financial help. All right. Technical. You know, a white person say, I don't have no money, buddy. I mean, you know, hey, I'm struggling. I'm just trying to make it. And he'll be telling the truth. Or she. So you say, well, maybe you can give me some technical assistance. Technical how? Anything, any kind of information. Where can I get a job? Who do I talk to? Give me a phone number of somebody who can help me solve my problem, whatnot. That's technical information. And or educational efforts. Can you help me to learn something that I don't know, that I need to know? These are the things I have listed. Financial, technical, and or educational.
Mm-hmm.
And you do that with somebody who has the same last name. People are always saying, including white people, how do you solve this race problem? What's the best way to go about doing it? Well, you can just start with your family name. I mean, you know, let's just talk to white people. You know, we got to get somewhere. We got to start somewhere. What's the best way to start? This might be one of them. Well, you just start with the family name, all right? And that's a direct line. Hey, you know, my father, you're Mr. Thomas, you know. I come from a long line of Thomases.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we never moved outside of that line. This is a white person talking. And so, the original Thomases, of South Carolina, we had slaves like you wouldn't believe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, and we named all of our slaves Thomas.
Okay.
All right? So you might be one of the people, who you're not doing well here in 2018. You might be one of our slaves going way back.
Okay.
All right? So, hey, since I'm going to start helping people to get along and whatnot, I'll just start with the Thomases.
Okay.
All right? Every white person should be doing that. I mean, really, initiate it themselves.
All righty.
But if they don't, well, black people should put it on their minds, which is what we try to do with page 95.
Okay.
Here. Right, he could be, going way back in history, one of the owners of the people who passed the name down to me.
Yes.
All right? And I would say, these people, I request right now on the air, if they hear about this, get in touch with me. I invite you to get in touch with me if you want to be of help to one of your, people that you got a lot of help from.
Okay.
According to the history books that have been written by white people, unless they lied. I don't think they lied about that because they bragged about it. How many slaves they own.
Yeah, yes.
So if Mr. Fuller out there, Mrs. Fuller out there, wherever you happen to be,
even going all the way back to Buckingham Palace, if there's any Fullers there. I mean, you probably have something if you're in Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, you probably
So you
do.
can probably deliver something to me right away and help me in my quest to do what? Produce justice. Replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice.
Okay.
And I think that's an honorable goal to be associated with the white Fullers of this world.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Listen.
Well, food is poison. I mean, all of it, you might assume, it has poison in it because the white supremacists, they don't really care about longevity, apparently. And other people have said that. You know, they don't make a big deal out of that. They just like to do what they do. They mostly just like to swagger around and push people around. And they'll do it as long as they can. And, you know, they're mostly bored with everything that has to do with anything else. Because that's just the way the white supremacists think. They just like to kick people around. I mean, it's for fun, for glory, and material gain. And they'll do it as long as they can and try to come up with new ways of doing it because they get bored with doing it the same old way. To them, it's what existence on the planet is really all about. It's not about anything else. That's why they glorify violence. I mean, all the food and whatnot and the guns and whatnot, and these are just ways of going about doing stuff, I mean, to mess with people. So they'll look at food and they'll say, well, everybody's got to eat. And since I'm in charge of all the food anyway, I mean, I think that I don't want to kill these people outright. So I'll just poison the food and ship it to them. And they won't know. How do they know? What do they know about anything? I mean, and I'll make it taste good. I'll put plenty of sugar in it or whatever it is will be, you know, that they can get addicted to, and they'll want it and they'll demand it. I'll send them some soft drinks and I'll put poison in that because there's nothing but poison anyway. That's why I call it soft drinks. I mean, they can drink water. That's the best thing they can drink. But I'm going to put some chemicals in this water and put it in their schools so that even when they start out as young people, their minds are being poisoned. They're sitting up there nodding off in class and whatnot because it's what they go to the machines, they're going to get a whole bunch of poison because there's nothing but a whole lot of different coloring and whatnot and a lot of different water. And I don't really care because, you know, and they will be functional enough to do my bidding, but they'll be mostly just kind of walking around all drugged up. And that would be my introduction to them getting on other drugs later on. Minimize conflict by minimizing all unnecessary or non-constructive contact. Now, when it comes to black males and black females in the northwestern hemisphere in the system of white supremacy, you will never be able to get it the way it ought to be. Now, everybody has to understand this. We're in a prison system. So actually, all of our so-called relationships will be nowhere near what they ought to be because we are not in circumstances that should prevail.
Okay.
The system of racism will not allow it. Now, a lot of people say, oh, that ain't true and all like that. Well, go ahead and do what you're going to do. But the system of racism will not allow it to be the way it should be. Now, you can get it to be workable, but it's going to have a lot of defects. All relationships between black males and black females are full of flaws, riddled with flaws. That's going to be permanent, and it's getting worse. Look forward to that. It's going to get worse. Why? Because the white supremacists have decided that they're going to set it up so it will get worse.
Okay.
So the black females and black males will not be able to get along with each other in harmony in the system of white supremacy.
Okay.
That's not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
That is not. And if for those who think that it can happen or that you can make it happen, you're faking it.
Okay.
There's a lot of things you just don't know. You're hiding from yourself. You're hiding the truth.
Yes.
Somebody is hiding the truth.
Okay.
You can guarantee that because it's not set up to have the harmony that you want. The black females, their minds are set to go one way, and the black mind, male mind, is set to go another way. Set by whom? By racist man and racist woman. But we're not even aware of that. And we're not on the same page. And we're not going to be on the same page as long as we're in the prison system called the system of white supremacy. That's a guarantee.
Guarantee.
You're going to have these conflicts.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right? And you can make it work somewhat, have it workable, that's all. Nowhere near what it ought to be.
Okay.
But you can have some type of relationship, but you got to understand it's going to be loaded with poison.
Yes.
Loaded with poison. All of our relationships are going to be loaded with poison.
Yes, sir.
Because the white supremacists have made us loaded with poison. Well, the white supremacists do all sorts of things, but there's one thing you can count on. If a white person believes in white supremacy, there's one thing you can count on. They do not make any move of any kind, ever, unless it's going to add strength to the system of white supremacy. And they are so deceitful at making these moves. They're the best checker players ever when it comes to racism, okay, and counter-racism. They know what moves black people are going to make before black people even think about making the move, all right, because after all, they raised us, if you can call it raising. I mean, we haven't had no teacher other than them, okay? So they give us all our values. They tell us that a pair of shoes is more important than a black person's existence. All you got to do is put a label on the side of it, and you can get that black person killed this evening. Right by his own schoolmate will kill him. Not for the shoes, because he's already wearing shoes. It's for the label that's on the shoes. You will die. You will die a miserable death by the hand of somebody that lives 3 blocks from you. Where you find black people on the planet, we will slaughter each other because the white supremacists say, kill him for that pair of shoes that I gave you, boy. You know, I knew when you walked out of here that was your death sentence. I sold you those shoes for $700, and I figured by the time you got halfway where you're going to be dead. I already knew that when I sold you the shoes, and I knew who was going to kill you, all right? And I'm going to get a 2 for the day. And I knew that I was going to get the guy that killed you. So, I mean, I got to get rid of 2 of y'all today, real easy, and make you pay for it. That's what I've been saying all down through the years, and I hope that it catches on. I hope that people understand it, because we are not trained by the white supremacists, and they're not going to. There'll be a universe within ourselves as individuals, because they know that anytime we try to get what we call a group together, oh, that's tailor-made for them. They can bust that up in 5 minutes, all right? All you need is a 2 or 3 black people to get together and call themselves anything. Put a label on it, and so that already you have separated yourself from all the other black people just by doing that. They already know that. So they know the science of how people think, okay? They're good at it, okay? Because they have been through all of this among themselves. They've run tests on these things among themselves. White people kill each other running tests. They know more about murder than anybody. They know about manipulating people than anybody, the white supremacists, that is. So therefore, they will say that, hey, you know, if you're going to get a little group together to fight me, I'll help you build a group. At a certain point, I'll wait until to see if you can halfway got it together. Then I'll examine how your group operates. Then I will compromise your group, either by sealing it off from the rest of the people, because you've halfway done the job for me, just by having that label, all right? I mean, you know, the black people will look at look at black people who are in a group, who have formed a group, and the white supremacists already know that we're going to attack that group. Why don't they do something? They ain't solving my problems. I ain't joining them, all right? See, so the white supremacists know they got division right there, and that's solid, too. That group ain't going nowhere. But it's one thing, just like you just said, because that's the theory I have, that has yet to be proven, by the way. That's why I say it's a concept. That if you empower each individual person with a code of behavior, you will solve the problems of each individual person with that code of behavior. And there's absolutely no defense against it. That's not my concept. That's the concept that comes with the universe. If you empower each individual to solve his or her problems according to a code, you have empowered and solved the problems of all individual persons. And the white supremacists, when they come after everybody, they don't know who to pick to start with, because they're going to have to get everybody. And that's the position you want to put them in. The position of, we got to either do justice for the non-white people, for really all the people of this entire planet, or we're going to have to kill all of these non-white people. We're going to have to kill them all. But you see them walking down, picking up the sidewalk, acting like they can whip everybody. Sure, they can whip somebody who looks just like them, because that's permitted. Permitted by whom? The white supremacists. They don't care. Kill everybody in the neighborhood. So what? There's another black neighborhood gone. There's another one down the street, ready to go. What's the big deal? You better be careful about whose face you get into when you get carried away with what you can do to other black people. And what's pitiful about it is most of us know that. Very few of us don't know that. We know whose face to get into. And we know just about how much backing we have.
Shame. Shame.
Black person in handcuffs. All kinds of tattoos. All kinds of long record for being able to whip everybody since 9th grade. Standing there in handcuffs in an orange jumpsuit in his best hairdo saying, "Yes, Your Honor." Why don't you use the kind of language toward Your Honor that you use with the people that you encounter right there in your neighborhood? The one that you say that you're a master over. The one that you can terrorize. All the females flocking to you and halfway scared of you. Knock them around all over the place. Call them all kind of names. Why don't you call Your Honor that same name? Snatch him from behind the bench. No. See, we're great show people. Greatest show people on earth. 3 9mm, one in your sock, one in your waistband, one in your side pocket. Ready to take on the entire world in a movie. In a homemade video. Or passing a bus stop full of black people fixing to go to work. Or you can terrorize them. Why don't you take on the champ? Which usually is just 1 or 2 white supremacists who just come and say, "Now, I think you better behave because you're disturbing my peace. Now, if you don't think I can handle you, try me." And I haven't been on this planet forever, but I've never seen a situation on a large scale, or never heard of one on a large scale, of any significance throughout the history of the black male, because that's who I'm talking about, who didn't chicken out in a moment of real crisis. So I don't want to hear it. in this stalwart Black History Month about that all-powerful black male. Because I've seen our record, particularly in the last, I'll say, just in this area of the world, 60 years. And we've had a few who did things the way that they ought to be done. They protested in the street. They carried signs. They talked about non-justice. Martin Luther King, people like that. Fannie Lou Hamer, as a black female, backing up black males who got out there and tried to do something that made sense rather than just terrorize the neighbors. And that's doing what we're supposed to do from the weak position that we have. Only time we show all this bravery is when we are mistreating other victims of racism. For the most part, some exceptions. Nelson Mandela, exception. Martin Luther King, exception. Malcolm X, exception. A substantial list, but well-spaced. Well-spaced. All those black males in between, usually the ones who are doing hard time, if you look at what they are charged with, most of it is mistreating, whether they're guilty or not, but most of it is for mistreating other prisoners of war, the race war, people that look like themselves, can't stand themselves and want to kill everything that looks like them and laugh about it and call it an accomplishment. Now, I harp on this because this is one thing that should be real passe. As they say in the hip-hop culture, I think they call it whack. That's really whack. I think that's what they call it. Makes no sense at all and has been embraced in every generation. Didn't just start. As far back as I can remember. Black male carrying the Saturday night razor. I'm going to cut me somebody before the night's over. Oh, yeah. Who are you going to cut? Who are you going to cut, Jimmy? Who are you going to cut, Mac? Well, I'm going over to the dance hall. Who's in the dance hall, Mac? I'm going to cut me somebody who breaks bad over at the dance hall. Who is it that's going to break bad in the dance hall, Mac? Somebody that looks like me. Somebody I probably went to school with before I dropped out, and they dropped out. So we meet up 18 years later, and we slash each other to death in the alley. And that's supposed to be a big deal and the purpose for being on the planet. Now, there are millions of black people who think just like that. And they are not all just in this area of the world. They are south of here, in places like Brazil. They look forward to that kind of foolishness. It's an old black tradition while we're talking about black history. That's a huge part of black culture. It needs to stop, and it needs to stop as of tonight. We need to do some thinking and then say enough of that. Been there, done that. Forget it. No more gang tattoos. I mean, who are we fooling? Who can we really whip? A very limited number of people. And certainly nobody who is smarter and more powerful than we are, particularly somebody who is really an army. A system of white supremacy. You know anything about taking that on? No, nothing, zero. Better start tap dancing.
Listen.
Well, one thing, when you set up a system where you decide what having it all means. Okay? The white supremacists set the value systems up for people all over the world. You know, you wear a suit and a tie, you're a businessman. All right? And, you know, and you can do business because they say this is the business suit. So even people who don't particularly care for the system of white supremacy, who are people of color, they say, well, hey, if you're going to do business, if you're going to be taken seriously, and the only way you can be taken seriously is that you wear a suit, whatever that means. What is a suit? And a tie. And what is a tie for? It's something you put, a piece of cloth that you put around your neck that kind of hangs down from your neck. And what is that all about? Well, you got to have it if you're going to be taken seriously. Okay, according to whom? According to the white supremacists. I'm not sitting down and talking to you and you come in there, I mean, with your pants down and your shoes unlaced and your hair all over going in different directions and whatnot, and you talking about you're a creature to be taken seriously. You're something to be shot because you look like an animal. Why? Because I say you look like an animal. That's why. All right? So it's the same way with what the value of a female is who wears dark skin. All right? What is that worth? That's not worth nothing to anybody. I mean, except to make some more animals to be used and mistreated. That's all that's good for. I mean, what she thinks or what her ambitions are or how she thinks she's supposed to look and all like that, who cares? Who is supposed to care? This is a throwaway creature. All it's good for is reproducing some more things for us as white supremacists to use for whatever we want to use for in the form of mistreatment. And when we get tired, in answer to the basic question of just being in charge, just being supreme, we get bored. So we just check out. We kill ourselves. Because we ain't got nothing else to do no way. I mean, you know, we know more than anybody. We can go any place at any time. Nobody stops us from doing anything. And so after we've eaten all the food and traveled here and traveled there, and we've told people that you come in and buy this little bag and you'll be somebody. Why? Why if I buy this bag I'll be somebody? Because I said so with your dumb self. You do what I say. What I say is valuable is valuable. And I got a little bag here with my name on it, and that's valuable. And you should work for 50 years to try to get one of these bags. And then you can take it down and show it to your other dumb black people, all right? And they'll kill you for it. And that's a part of my business, too. And I'll put my name on the side of some shoes that I make, and I'll get you killed for that. Because that's what I train you all to do, to worship whatever I give you and tell you that it's worth something, and you'll kill each other for it. And that's a part of my plan. But every now and then, I get tired of the whole thing. I mean, I do so much of it, I get sick of myself. So I just check out. So what? I mean, you know, because, hey, you know, because I can. I'm a master. So if I decide that I don't want to breathe no more, I just stop breathing. So what? You know, because I like death anyway. I like to see dead things. Mostly dead things in the form of black bodies. I like to see them dead. If you're not white as a person, if you're not classified as white, then you are something less than white. By less meaning you're supposed to have less power, less choices than a person who is classified as white in all 9 areas of activity, wherever you are on the planet. It doesn't make any difference what shade of black you might be. Black, brown, red, yellow, beige, slang term, red bone, whatever. If the question is, are you white or not? That's it. You don't even have to go into the shades of color. Shades of color, just shades of color. White is non-color. That's why they call people of color colored people. People that have color. If you're white, white is not a color except when you're talking about paint. If you're talking about people, you're talking about a category of people who are supposed to be eligible to be white supremacists. That doesn't say, a lot of black people are white. If you look at their skin color, they're really white. We got some of them in our families, extended families, if not in the immediate family, so-called. All right? Even though in the system of white supremacy, there's no such thing as a black family anyway. I mean, that's a myth. That's something made up. That's something black people walk around thinking they got. Prisoners of war don't have families. All right? That's not logical. That's not true. You cannot be a prisoner of war and have anything. You don't even have yourself, not say anything about having a family. And the white supremacists prove that over and over again, all the time, right in our face. You don't have nothing. You don't even have yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You just got me as your boss. That's all you got. And it'll stay that way, and that's what drives you black people crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't understand how we do that and what your status really is. That's why you're crazy like we have made you. And you act crazy. And you will be in this state as long as I have power over you. We have to understand that. Prisoners of war. I keep saying that over and over again. What does a prisoner of war have? That's the question. A prisoner of war has nothing, even when they think they have something. Once you're a prisoner of war, you're just a number.
Yes.
And once you're a prisoner of war in the system of white supremacy, you're just a color. That's all that you have. And you don't even have that, because the white supremacists would walk up to you and say what color you are, on any given day. All right? Or what color anything is. If the white supremacists say, you look up at a black person, you say, oh, the sky is blue. And the white supremacist said, no, the sky is gray. And the black person will say, well, I'm looking at it, and I can see, I know a blue sky, I ain't afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And the white supremacist say, what did I say, boy? I say the sky is gray. Now, you going to prove to me that the sky is blue? What are you going to use as proof? Well, I got sense. I can see it. I can see that the sky is blue. I know blue when I see it. The sky is blue today. It ain't gray. And the white supremacist said, what did I just say to you? They say, well, are you going to make me say that the sky is blue? Now, that's the white supremacist talking to a black person anywhere on this planet right now. Are you going to make me say that when I just told you, boy, that the sky is gray? Yeah, but nothing. Yeah, but you don't overrule me under any circumstance. I don't care what you're looking at. You say you got a wife. I say you haven't. Your wife belongs to me. Now, prove that she doesn't. Because I can prove that she does because I own you. And that means what? And this is very important when the white supremacists are talking. If I own you, what do you own? Just answer that question. Stop and think about it. If somebody owns me, then what do I own? I don't own anything, because whoever owns me owns everything that I claim is mine. And that gets back to that answer about somebody saying something about a basketball player, having this and having that. Under the system of white supremacy, if you're black, you have absolutely nothing. Not even the privilege of calling yourself black if a white supremacist say you're brown, like somebody just called in and said, or you're yellow, or you're blue. Why? Because I said so, boy. Because I said so, gal. Now, you prove to me that I'm lying. And I just told you, you bet not tell me that I lied.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can hurt you, and you cannot hurt me. That's the bottom line, folks.
Yes, sir.
That's the bottom line. I can hurt you a whole lot more than you can hurt me. And every non-white person on this planet that ever attempted to do that, we laugh at them. And we say, bring it on. Because now that's the bottom line. Can you prove it by force?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you're going to take to do it, to change what I just told you. Sky being gray instead of blue. Yes, some white person took a look around at some point, presumably some white person, and say, you know what? I'm looking at all these people moving around here doing this and doing that. I'm going to come up with a system where I can dominate them. Everybody that I classify as non-white and have them jumping through hoops at my command. I'm going to come up with a system that does that. Apparently somebody did that because the evidence is here. Somebody thought of a system called racism. And that somebody put it into operation, and it took off like a prairie fire. I mean, in record time, became the most powerful system of politics and religion. There's no religion stronger than the religion of white supremacy that the world has ever seen. And that's what we're experiencing right now. Now, how it all evolved and in the details, and the first person who got the idea is argumentative. But I don't argue about that. I just simply say, somebody did it, because that's what we're looking at. Somebody did it. Somebody set it up. Or we wouldn't be having this conversation here in 2013 right now. About, we need this, we need that, somebody ought to do something about this, somebody ought to do something about that. If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you, only confuse you, only confuse you.
Neely Fuller, who wrote the textbook for victims of racism a number of years ago, in the mid-70s, he used to say in a system, because he was the first person to talk about racism as a system, and he said that as the system of racism, white supremacy moves on, the system is going to have black men wearing dresses. Now, to hear that in the 70s, people said, oh, this is way out. And here we are. You see, there's some black pediatricians who are saying we are developing epidemic levels of the effeminization of young black males. Well, I say the pants sagging down is just a subconscious invitation for homosexuality. You see, it's revealing the buttocks. See, so the pants are getting lower and lower and lower. The next step is to step out of the pants altogether. And so you step out of the pants, you're going to put on a dress. The effeminization is an essential ingredient of white genetic survival. And the only thing that can prevent it is black people becoming conscious or becoming determined that this is not going to happen to them, because if the black men are destroyed, then the black people are gone, and we have a state of genocide.
I'll say something. You people, you're not a race. You are a virus. You destroy the world. Everything beautiful you poison. You drag us from our homes, you rape our daughters, murder our sons. You crack our spines and do all you can to break our will. You stab us. Then you put the knife in our hand and tell us it's our fault. And if you don't do it yourself, you stand by, close your eyes, and pretend there's nothing wrong. And then you pray to your God to silence our screams so that you can enjoy the happiness that we built for you with our blood. But it's not your fault. It's the only way you know how to be. And the only thing that will change anything is if another virus comes along and does to you what you do to us. And I hope that happens very soon.
Wow. This evening obviously hasn't gone as I'd hoped. And I think I'm having a full-on panic attack right now, so I'm going to go to the bathroom and get myself together, and when I come back, I hope you don't see me as the devil.
It's just one answer to all three questions. In order to maintain the system of white supremacy. These are necessary things. Cause confusion in what? All areas of activity. Because like I said earlier in this program, when people are confused, they have to depend on people who are not confused. So the white supremacists use language to confuse people all the time, every day. You can't buy a car or buy a house without being confused. You can't do anything if you're a person of color anywhere in the world under the system of white supremacy without some kind of confusion being handed to you on a silver platter. See, the platter will be beautiful, the thing that they handed to you in, but they keep that. And whatever was on that platter is loaded with poison. All right? And the poison is designed to do what? Confuse the mind. That's the kind of poison they put out. And they do it mostly by talking. That's why the people who are called in the Northwestern Hemisphere years ago, the people who were designated as called red people, people of color, by the white supremacists, those people said what about the white supremacists? They speak with forked tongue. Say one thing, mean another. If you listen to them, if they keep talking and whatnot, they will talk you out of house and home. They're expert talkers. Like I sometimes call it Pocahontasism. And if they can't talk to one black person, they'll talk to another. They'll try to find the weakest one. Their record shows this. And this is not anything that Neely Fuller is saying, except I'm repeating what was taught to me. By whom? Directly, indirectly, by people who believed in white supremacy. Many of them. I won't say all, but I'll say the most powerful and smartest ones. They taught me about what? The Indian maiden called Pocahontas. And say, you read this, boy, and you learn it. What we did to people of color, along with what we did to you. Read this. And even though you're reading it, and I'll tell you about it, I told you about your slave history because I got control of all the books. So, you couldn't learn it any other way. I killed off the people who were actually, the first ones. And so I inherited you. You are the illegitimate offspring. That's what the white supremacists tell us every day. You are my illegitimate offspring because I killed off your parents. I killed off the parents of all of the non-white people on the planet until they did what? Until their offspring learned my ways. But I will only teach them enough of my ways to their own detriment.
Nigga,
I'll teach them how to fight each other and all of that. I won't teach them anything that makes them more powerful than me or as powerful as I am. Because I don't believe in justice. I believe in dominating and mistreating people. That's why I'm a white supremacist. domination and mistreatment of people. That's what white supremacy means. It doesn't mean just, well, I'm trying to, save myself as a white person, as a species and all like that. That's what they'll say. But see, no one was chasing them down, insisting that you give your woman to me. The white supremacists were doing that to other people, chasing other people all over the place and saying, give your women to me. I'll take them. And don't you touch mine, but I will take all of yours and run through every one of them that I can and produce offspring and then make slaves out of them and have them confused, because I will always tell them that some of you are my offspring, and get you to fight the other ones, the light skin against the dark skin, and come up with all different kind of religions and have you fighting about that, when I am the most powerful of all religions. There's no religion more powerful than the religion of white supremacy. Now, a lot of people will say, well, where'd you get that from, Fuller? I had to come up with that one, because that's the truth. Compare any religion, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Judaism, Confucianism, Hinduism, with the religion of white supremacy. There's absolutely no comparison. There's never been a religion as powerful as the religion of white supremacy. The most ignorant about racism are the victims.
Okay.
This is why they haven't overcome it. Black people do not have racism as their priority and wake up every morning thinking about how they're going to get rid of racism. The average black person on the planet wakes up in the morning thinking about what? Well, they may be thinking about a lot of things, but they're not thinking about getting rid of racism. And that's what exactly every black person on this planet should wake up in the morning thinking about and go to bed thinking about each and every day, with each and every breath that he or she takes. But we got every kind of nonsensical priority other than that.
Okay.
Yet we complain about our condition. And that is the reason we're in this condition, because we got every other kind of priority. Now, one of the main priorities among black people is what? Showing off.
Showing off.
Showing off to whom?
Yes, you mentioned
each
that.
other. Yes. If we tell the truth, that is our priority.
Okay.
It's trying to figure out a way to show off, even if showing off just means driving by and shooting at somebody.
Yeah,
that's showing off.
Okay.
What I've been saying. But, people have a tendency to, just, it's habit. That's what it is. You usually think the same way you've always thought. Even when somebody is telling you something different, you're really tuning it out and thinking the way you always thought, which is okay, because at some point you might choose to think differently or look at things a different way. I have been saying we are already a captured people. The war is still going on, by the way, because what is a war? It's nothing but conflict that continues. So as long as you have people resisting their captivity, the war is still going on. When people stop resisting, then that war is over. But the war between those who believe in racism and those who don't, so far, the victims of that war, the non-white people of this entire planet, have been prisoners of war. The white supremacists are not trying to capture black people. Black people are already captured and have been for generations. We are already prisoners of war. We are already in the prison called the entire planet, because the white supremacists dominate every non-white person on this planet 24 hours a day in every area of activity. So we're already prisoners of that war. And so therefore we just keep asking the warden not to do this and not to do that, Black Lives Matter and all like that. They're not walking around saying, we matter. Yes, they'll say it, in a joking fashion, but the white supremacist says, we're the only people that matter. You people are nothing but prisoners. And I do what I want to with all of you, not some of you, all of you. It's none of you who are exempt from me, who are exempt from my captivity. So, but you try to break out the prison, you want to change the prison into some Garden of Eden or something like that, and you can attempt that, but I will continue to do what I do until I decide I'm not going to do it anymore. And that's the status where we are right now. That's the white supremacist voice talking. Look at what people like myself are doing, or anybody who's talking about racism or talking about producing justice, heaven forbid. They are against it, but they will permit you to talk about it as long as what? Since they are very logical, very smart, as long as you are not effective.
Okay.
Now, when people listen to Neely Fuller talk, they just say, oh, yeah, that brother, he's okay, I mean, you know, and all like that. But in business as usual, they'll go right back doing the same things they've always done. You know, everybody does the same thing. We will continue what we call our traditional black culture, which is a failed culture, by the way. The evidence shows this. That's what black culture is. It's a failed culture. It hasn't solved our problems. You know, we hadn't added any new dimensions to it. It's still the same basic culture that we have always had. The white supremacists do not look at the speaker when black people are speaking to other black people. The black people look at the reaction to the speaker. See, that's their pattern. That's their logic.
Yes, sir.
And it's the logic that makes sense. See what I mean? You know, you don't care what somebody says as long as nobody's changing, as long as nobody's doing anything different, just going through their same routine, celebrating the same things and all like that.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you know, looking forward to the same things. And so they just go out and take a look at what black people are doing out here slaughtering each other all over Southside Chicago. And they say, who cares about what Neely Fuller says or anybody else? You know, black people still act the same. They don't change.
They still want it. How you figure that, man? Look around you, man. They own this shit. They own this couch you sitting on, them shoes you got on your feet, this building, this school, this country, you. We're behind enemy lines, dawg. One beat down and never compare to 439 years of captivity. Never. You don't know shit. Fresh.
That's the royal category. The royal category based on color. You have all kinds of royalism, kings and queens and all like that. The system of white supremacy is a category based on color and non-color. And if you're in the color category, black, brown, red, yellow, beige, tan, etc., then you are eligible to be dominated and mistreated by people who classify themselves as the non-color white. And I kind of went in depth on that, but basically that's really what it's all about. It's just a form of mistreatment based on color. That's what white supremacy is. That's what I have in my book, and that's what I've been saying all down through the decades and whatnot. If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Now sometimes people say, well, you mean everything that I understand will confuse me if I don't understand racism? Yes, because racism is the dominant political and religious motivating force among the people of the planet in all 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. That covers just about everything that any person, minute by minute, might be doing or engaged in any time of day or night, anywhere on the planet. Don't kill me, even though I teach you how to do it. Kill your brother and the fellow down the street. And anybody who remotely looks like you, kill it. Kill it. Harm it. Kick it. Curse it. Write a song about kicking it and killing it and cursing it. And try to get everybody to listen to it. And then go out and do it. And try to get them to do it. And call that our culture. Isn't that wonderful? I wish somebody would copy it. Everybody should be like that. Mass sickness. That's what the system of white supremacy spawns. You have done an excellent job. Even as we speak, it manifests itself all over the world. Get me a 9mm and kill somebody that looks like me. That's what I do. That's the mind of a stone victim. A person who has been completely victimized because their mind has been completely turned upside down, inside out, and then finally just completely oblivious. It's not even a man. Robotized. Niggerized. A thing. Not even remotely resembling a humane person, a human being. All 9 areas of activity, this is what the white supremacists enjoy. They have made the world a cesspool of this nonsense. Some areas of the world, people don't have the sophisticated pistols and rifles, so get a machete. Don't cut bananas off the tree or cut sugar cane. Get a machete and whack off the arm of a black lady who tried to hide from you because you're a rapist. Teach her a lesson. And then walk around and feel proud of yourself.
Shame. Shame.
Strong black male image.
Shame.
We can stop it by becoming a little bit sane in this insane situation that's been produced and refined by the white supremacists.